Sean Diddy Combs was acquitted of the most serious charges, racketeering and sex trafficking, at his criminal trial in New York City. Combs was convicted of 2 counts of transporting people across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. Those charges relate to his girlfriends Cassie and Jane, and also male sex workers who were involved in so-called freak-offs or hotel nights. Those are the drug-fueled sex marathons at the heart of this case. But the government, according to the jury, failing to prove racketeering, failing to prove that Sean Diddy Combs engaged employees, bodyguards, personal assistants in a corrupt organization that was fueling his personal desires. Acquitted of that charge and also acquitted of 2 counts of sex trafficking. Sean Combs in the courtroom as the jury read its verdict. He bowed his head in prayer when the news was delivered that the jury had reached a verdict. He was in prayer with his family in the courtroom, family members holding their hands in the audience. And then as the jury reached the verdict, he held his hands in front of him like this in a prayer motion, looked at the jury, was thankful for the result. Yes, he was convicted on some charges, but acquitted of charges that could have put him behind bars for the rest of his life. His lawyers argue that because he was only convicted on these prostitution-related counts, that the whole complex situation has changed. The argument for keeping him jailed no longer really exists. And they argue that he should be put on some sort of bail condition where he would post a bond, be allowed to live at his home in the Miami area, and that he would adhere to any conditions that the court may impose. Now, government lawyers, prosecutors, they oppose this. They say that regardless of the verdict, the evidence is clear that Combs was violent, that he used drugs, and that he intimidated witnesses. Now, Combs appeared thankful for this verdict, thankful that his life was spared. As his lawyer said, he was facing a possibility of life in prison. Combs dropped to his knees at his chair behind the defense table. He prayed for about a minute, and then he stood up and walked toward the audience where his family members, his mother and many of his children had been gathered, had been there for the deliberation process and also for the many weeks of this trial. Again, recapping, Sean Diddy Combs acquitted on the major charges at his sex trafficking trial, sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, but he was convicted on 2 counts of transporting people across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. Nevertheless, his side considers this a victory. They vanquished charges that could have put the hip-hop mogul, the rap icon, behind bars for life.